This week, Siskel and Ebert review hit woman Lena Olin seducing Detective Gary Oldman in Romeo is Bleeding. Gerard Depardieu's daughter gets him in hot water in My Father the Hero. And Sean Young can't stand Jim Carrey's monkey shines in Ace Ventura, Pet Detective.
Sleep with him?
No.
You don't?
No, I mean, yeah, but not in the same room.
Not in the same room?
I mean, not technically in the same room. Because when we travel, he has to tell people he's my father.
A 14-year-old girl tells a boy she likes on vacation that her father is actually her lover, just to get the kid jealous. And that's the premise of the new romantic comedy, My Father the Hero, one of the big new films we'll be reviewing this week on Siskel and Ebert, along with pictures starring the youthful Mario Van Peebles, Juliette Lewis, and Val Kilmer, as we also focus on the sleeper hit Tombstone. What accounts for its stunning success? I'm Gene Siskel of the Chicago Tribune.
And I'm Roger Ebert of the Chicago Sun-Times. Our first movie is My Father the Hero, and it's the story of a teenage American girl who goes on a Caribbean vacation with her French father, who she hasn't seen in a while. She thinks she'll be bored, but not when she meets a good-looking 17-year-old whose rich parents own a villa elsewhere on the island. That's Katherine Heigl as the daughter there, and her father is played by Gerard Depardieu, the top movie star in France. He knows that everyone at the resort has been treating him like a depraved cradle snatcher, but he doesn't know why until his daughter tells him.
Are you out of your mind? What the hell were you thinking about?
You're yelling.
Of course I'm yelling. My daughter tells some stranger that the father is her
Lover!
Oh.
The teenage boy, in love and believing the whole wild story, almost kills Depardieu during a water ski adventure. I guess you're not supposed to ask why Depardieu doesn't save himself by simply letting go of the rope.
Slow down!
Nice skiing there, Randy.
That entire scene is so contrived. He has one hairbreadth escape after another, and it goes on and on and on. And of course, he could end it whenever he wanted to.
And also, what does everyone do when they see a scene like that? What do you look at?
I always look to see if it's a double.
You got it right.
Yeah. Either it was a double or Depardieu has another career at Cypress Gardens. Here we go. There are a couple of funny scenes in My Father the Hero, especially one where Depardieu is roped into appearing at the resort's amateur night and makes the unfortunate mistake of singing Thank Heaven for Little Girls. But this is not an inspired comedy, and the whole plot depends on people behaving with unbelievable stupidity. If Depardieu seems right at home in this story, maybe that's because he has played it once before. This is a more or less exact remake of a 1991 French comedy, which I saw at the time, and it was more or less exactly as weak and contrived as this remade English version.
Well, you're right, I think, at every step of the way. I think that the father-daughter things with Depardieu and the young woman, those are cute. And if that had been focused on more and less with the boyfriend, that's where I think the film is really weak. The stuff with the boyfriend is really standard baloney. And if there had been more conflict between... He's a good enough actor.
They could have done it more as social humor.
Yes.
In other words, there's one good laugh in the movie where he's...
The Thank Heaven for Little Girls is a big laugh.
Yes, that's a big laugh. But also when he's walking on the beach and suddenly everybody is cutting him. He says, good morning to somebody, and they say, good morning to you. And if you just let it work in terms of the social attitudes, because those people think that he's with this girl who's too young for him, then it would have been better.
And how about having the other people at the resort be smart, instead of one stock stupid character after another? There have to be the conventioneers. There has to be the nerdy kid, the computer kid from New York. And a little insult, if you notice at the end, of who his girlfriend is, the nerdy kid. He has a girl whose father is some doctor, I think, out on the West Coast. Remember? What's her problem? She's got braces, she's ugly,
her
glasses.
father is actually a professor at MIT, I believe.
Okay, whatever. Which girl do you think is a more valuable girl role model? That girl or this girl who has nothing going on
well,
in
the
her
day
life.
when they start making movies about the smart girl with braces on her teeth is probably not going to come very soon.
No, not on this planet. Okay, next movie, and the title on the planet Bizarro, you know, Superman's planet. The title of our next picture, and by the way, we're about to step down, is Ace Ventura, Pet Detective.
I'm glad we're doing is stepping down.
Yeah. This wouldn't even play on Bizarro. Ace Ventura, Pet Detective, and you know, February has just begun, but you're going to hear a lot more about Ace Ventura, Pet Detective from me next January on our Worst of the Year show. This is an appallingly bad movie. Jim Carrey, the star and co-writer of this mess, is so obnoxious he makes Jim Varney and his Ernest character seem as brilliant as Chaplin's Little Tramp. In the film, Ace Ventura, the Pet Detective, tries to help locate the Miami Dolphins' missing mascot, but police detective Sean Young doesn't want any part of him. Watch the finish of this scene for what's so obnoxious about Ace.
Hey, maybe I'll give you a call sometime. Your number's still 911? Oh, righty then.
The low point in the movie, I can't really believe they released this clip. It's early on in the police station as Ace has fun with a police officer played by the rapper Tone Loc. Get ready to be grossed out, but remember, I'm trying to warn you off this picture.
Come on now, Ace, please, man, please.
What's the matter, Emilio? Afraid I'll make a steak? Come on!
My jaw dropped then, and nothing that followed closed it. I guess you could say that Jim Carrey from TV's In Living Color really isn't to blame. He's just trying to be funny. It's the people who hired him that should be blamed. So take your complaints to producer-financier James G. Robinson of Morgan Creek Films. Ace Ventura, Pet Detective, shockingly bad.
You know, I'm kind of grateful for this film because occasionally people say, have you seen any really bad movies lately?
What's the worst?
You know, you're trying to, you know, you might have several candidates and you can't decide among them, and now I've got one I won't have to think about. I can just say Ace Ventura, Pet Detective. This movie is, you know, the character is so obnoxious, and I've seen
Ernest. I mean, I thought Ernest was a standard in being obnoxious. This guy.
You know, I've seen the actor on television. He can play a lot of different characters. He's very talented. And he could probably play a character that I would enjoy in a movie that I would enjoy. He has not done either one of those things this time.
Okay. When we come back, a crooked cop falls under the spell of a seductive hit woman. Gary Oldman and Lena Olin star in Romeo is Bleeding coming up next.
Mona.
I want you to kill him. I just want you to bury him. If he dies in the process, that's his problem.
That's Gary Oldman as a cop who tries to work on both sides of the fence but gets more than he bargained for in Romeo is Bleeding. He's assigned to the witness protection detail and sells his secret information to a mob boss played by Roy Scheider. His private life is also a case of divided loyalties. He has a wife played by Annabella Sciorra.
Okay. Now, either I was really good, Jack, or you were really bad.
And a goofy mistress played by Juliette Lewis. Yet most of the time he seems too harassed and exhausted to be interested in either woman.
Who am I?
Paul Newman.
In what movie?
Hud.
You never saw Hud.
Then a true femme fatale comes into his life. She's played by Lena Olin as a seductive gangster wanted by both the mob and the cops.
Go to him and tell him it's been done.
What's been done?
Tell him I'm already dead, Jack. Later on, we'll get ourselves a body.
She has no difficulty twisting Oldman around her little finger, and he realizes too late that everyone around him wants him dead.
You miss me, sweetheart.
Romeo is Bleeding was directed by Peter Medak, who made two of the best recent British crime films. He made Let Him Have It, about a retarded boy wrongly sentenced to death, and The Craze, about London's most notorious modern-day gangsters. In this movie, Medak seems to want to make an overwrought, highly stylized film noir, but the problem is the style is so awkward and so distracting it gets in the way of everything else. Eventually, I realized I wasn't watching a story at all, but simply characters going through mannerisms.
Or characters that are really props for set pieces, scenes, you know, explosions, stylistic camera angles, everything but a story.
Yeah,
everything but a story.
Really, you don't really care about anyone. And what's really interesting at the end...
And there's no logic to it, really.
No. And at the end, I won't give away the ending, but if you remember, there's a little kind of a moment when he thinks that it's one person, then he thinks it's somebody else. What I realized was I didn't care if it was either of the people he thought it was or if it was nobody at all, because even though we've been waiting ever since the first second of this movie for someone to walk through the door of this particular location, by the time we get to the end of the movie, we couldn't care less.
He has let no humanity in. You would think it would come through the Oldman character, but everything is so outlandish and so dwarfs him, everything that he meets, that it's like a guy staring at a bunch of spaceships or something. It's just very, very strange picture. Coming up next, Mario Van Peebles and Christopher Lambert search for $400 million in stolen drug money. An action picture with the very descriptive title, Gunmen. Also coming up, The Secret of Tombstone. What's making it a runaway surprise hit? Siskel and Ebert continues.
Just give me the name of the boat!
That's drug agent Mario Van Peebles out to revenge the murder of his father and also recover $400 million in stolen drug money in Gunmen, a film that is about as subtle as its title and not much more entertaining. This could have been a routine programmer 20 years ago. Now it's just made for the international action crowd. But it bored me silly. Van Peebles brings the brother of a clever smuggler, Christopher Lambert, out of jail, and together they hit the South American jungle in search of thieving drug dealers who are out to stop them exactly like this. Everyone has a blast in this movie, even when they're not shooting. For example, when Christopher Lambert finds himself head over heels in trouble with hitman Dennis Leary.
You know what I like to do in the morning? I like to dunk my donuts into my coffee. How about you?
The stakes are raised and bodies are prepared to be lowered when Leary attempts to double deal the drug kingpin, played by Patrick Stewart, by trying to bribe his henchmen.
10% of $400 million.
Kill him, Manolo. Kill him, Manolo. Go on, do it, kill him!
Now, the international movie language of firepower is really what Gunmen is all about. Lots of bullets are exploded to no point other than to fill time. Despite occasional attempts at lame macho humor like that upside-down scene, I really didn't enjoy sitting through Gunmen.
Boy, I didn't like it either, and you know, one of the things that I did to kind of entertain myself and pass the time while watching
I can only imagine.
Was to try to picture the various moments when they borrowed from other films. For example, the first shot in the movie, when the fly is on Lambert's face, is right out of Henry Fonda in The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, and then, of course, they blow up the side of the jail in order to let him escape, and that's from a spaghetti western, and then they jump into the river from a high cliff. That's Butch Cassidy. And you could go right through here finding time after time they're able to take a great moment from an earlier movie and make it into a boring movie in a current movie. Yeah. It's amazing the way they're able to do that.
I was looking at where the explosions would occur, where the pellets were hidden, the explosive pellets were hidden. Yeah. Isn't that the signature of a bad film?
Yes, it is. When we come back, a look at one of the season's surprise hits, Tombstone.
Wad Up is my friend. Yeah, well, I got lots of friends. I don't.
Tune in to the annual Siskel and Ebert Academy Award special, If We Pick the Winners. And you could win a Pioneer Laser Active Player, an advanced interactive Laserdisc player that plays movies and CDs, as well as exciting new interactive Laserdiscs, Laser Karaoke, plus Sega CD and Genesis games. Pioneer Laser Active, one machine, infinite possibilities. All you have to do is write your name, address, and daytime phone number. Mail it to Siskel and Ebert Contest, P.O. Box 4545, Chicago, Illinois, 60680. All entries must be received by Monday, February 28th. 5 randomly drawn postcards will win a Pioneer Laser Active Player. Winners will be announced on the Siskel and Ebert Academy Award special, If We Pick the Winners. Check your local listings for date and time.
We didn't review Tombstone when it was released late in the holiday season because we couldn't get a screening in time to include it on the year's last review program. So we thought we'd have to give it a pass. But then a strange thing started to happen. People started telling me they really liked Val Kilmer's performance in Tombstone. I heard this everywhere I went. When you hear that once or twice, it's interesting. When you hear it a couple of dozen times, it's a trend. And when you read that Bill Clinton loved the performance, you figure you better catch up with the movie. And that's what I did a couple of days ago. Gene had already seen it. I knew going in that Tombstone had a troubled history, with the first director getting fired and the screenplay undergoing rewrites during shooting. But what I wasn't prepared for was what a strong and effective movie emerged from all of that creative chaos. Here's a key moment from the famous gunfight at the OK Corral scene. Kurt Russell plays Wyatt Earp, and Val Kilmer is a tubercular but sardonic Doc Holliday.
Oh, my God.
Kilmer is indeed brilliant in this film. Bill Clinton makes a pretty good movie critic. Kilmer creates a dying man who keeps going mostly on willpower and a stubborn streak of humor, but Kurt Russell's performance is also wonderful as the two men create an understated but unshakable friendship.
And you, music lover, you're next.
Drunk piano player. You're so drunk you can't hit nothing. In fact, you're probably seeing double.
I have 2 guns, 1 for each of you.
Also intriguing is a romance between Wyatt Earp and a visiting actress played by Dana Delaney.
That's scenery.
Well, an enchanted moment.
Tombstone is, among other things, an incredibly good-looking movie. William A. Fraker's cinematography isn't just another dusty, picturesque Western, but a world of lights and shadows and dramatic moments in which the twitch of an eye can change everything. Some of the individual moments in this movie pull terrific dramatic surprises, as, for example, that scene where Wyatt Earp walks into a casino where a bad guy has been running things. Now, Earp isn't even carrying a gun, but he uses psychology and just a kind of a real directed stare to terrify the bully. Tombstone may have gone through some creative difficulties in the making, but the result is an absorbing, exciting movie. And you know, it's now turned into a surprise hit. It's grossed more than $50 million. Yeah. And the surprising thing is that they didn't want to show it to the critics because they were sure it would get bad reviews.
It was well hidden from us. We were prevented from seeing it. And that's unfortunate. But, you know, there was that Hollywood executive who said, if the pictures that I didn't make would probably have grossed as much as the ones I did make. Yeah. This sort of proves that story. I didn't like the picture as much as you, but there are elements in it that I think are terrific. Val Kilmer's performance, but he's no stranger to praise from me. Val Kilmer in The Doors, he's just a marvelous actor. Sometimes I think Kurt Russell is in character, sometimes not. Some of the women, I think, are. I like the fact that they tried to bring the women into this story, which is, you know, so often left out of Westerns. I think you're absolutely on target in praising William A. Fraker. He's a marvelous cinematographer.
If there is one weak point in the movie, which was directed finally by George Cosmatos, there are a couple of montages where everybody is shooting a lot, and a lot of people are getting killed, and that's supposed to show that time is passing and the conflict is going on. And I thought that the dramatic parts were so interesting that, oddly enough, the action just slowed things down.
That's it. And, yeah, the whole group called the Cowboys, isn't that what they called the Cowboys, the bad guys? They were the least interesting aspect in the film. It was interesting. You wanted more of the personal stories. Coming up next, our video pick of the week, a 30-year-old movie classic, finally released on home video.
Want to keep a job, boy?
February is Black History Month, but even if it weren't, I'd still be recommending as our video pick this week the release of Michael Romer's Nothing But a Man, a marvelous, powerful, groundbreaking drama of a strained love affair between a working-class man and a more upscale woman. Abby Lincoln is the young lady leading a terrific cast, playing the educated daughter of a preacher, and her relationship is strained with a railway worker played by Ivan Dixon. Her parents don't approve of him.
That's just one thing you can be looking for in a man like that. I know that's what you think.
When they're alone together, the distance between them stands for the gulf between all would-be lovers.
What about your boy?
What about him?
He can live with us.
Well, let's just see how the two of us make out first, huh?
Nothing But a Man is considered groundbreaking because of its all-black cast and love story. It came out during the civil rights movement of the 1960s, and much to my surprise, was written and directed by 2 white Jewish men with a remarkable sense of credible dialogue. Director Michael Romer and co-writer Robert Young obviously understood the universal situation their would-be lovers and victims of racism found themselves in. Nothing But a Man, our video pick of the week, perfect for renting by grammar schools and high schools. Now let's recap the movies we reviewed on this show. 2 thumbs down for the romantic comedy My Father the Hero with Gerard Depardieu. it tries too hard to be both a farce and a romance. 2 more thumbs down, way down, for the appalling would-be comedy Ace Ventura, Pet Detective, a film that, well, how can I put this? It's not quite as entertaining as Rabies. 2 thumbs down for Romeo is Bleeding, with a lot of stylish, showy violence, but no meaning whatsoever. 2 more thumbs down for Gunmen, the violence-filled action picture with Mario Van Peebles and Christopher Lambert, and 2 trainloads full of ammunition. And finally, a split vote on Tombstone, the surprise hit. I enjoyed parts of it, but not enough to recommend it. Val Kilmer's performance, however, was just one reason why Roger likes it so much.
And certainly of the movies on this show, I'm sure you would agree that Tombstone is the one that you would recommend.
Question.
Yes, that's it for this week. Next week we'll be back with more new movies, including The Getaway, starring Alec Baldwin and Kim Basinger, as lovers on the run with a bundle of stolen loot. And also, the Academy Award nominations will be announced on Wednesday, and we'll have our annual comments about Oscar surprises. Nominations we were amazed did and didn't get made. That's next week, and until then, the balcony is closed.
New Dromedary Bakery Bread Machine Mix, the one-step way to bake gourmet bread. Machine breads, if it doesn't say made with real Fleischmann's yeast, it's not Dromedary Bakery. If you'd like to save up to 50% on your contact